Hey guys, welcome to the video. Today is going to be a deck profile for Zygarde and Friends. So this deck is expanded. It's going to focus on using Zygarde's ability to be able to regenerate energy back onto himself with the Cell Connector attack, as well as utilizing some of these other attackers and fighting support. We've got one copy of a Rangaroo. That's our draw protection in case we get end down to a very small hand size. That's going to help us. We have one type null with the Armor Press, which will help us in certain situations where we're a little bit desperate. And then we have the type null with the Merciless Strike, which can actually, with the choice band on, do 90 damage if needed to be. Kind of a last-ditch effort attacker. We've got 3 copies of Silvally with the Gyro unit. We're going to be able to get free retreat costs to be able to make some plays. That's going to help us get some mobility in the deck. It's just another aspect that helps us out. We've got a copy of the Baby Buzzwole with the Sledgehammer. It's so good, especially when we get the strong energy on it. And we have got the Diancie Prism Star and Choice Band. We can really hit for some high numbers there. One copy of Buzzwole GX is a great open attacker. When we get the strong energy, Choice Band, Diancie, and the Regirock on the bench, we can really hit and put some early pressure on if we open up with it. Obviously the Diancie Prism Star giving us the extra 20 damage on all of our fighting Pokemon. Regirock EX giving us the 10 damage when he's on wherever he's at, actually, even if he's active, he gives that. 2 copies of Zygarde GX. I felt that 3 was just a little bit bloated because he does take a lot of energy to really power up, even if you do get it in the discard. It's hard to continually pull off the Verdict GX attack, but he is sort of the main attacker. We've got so many different utilities here in this deck that it makes it really powerful. Only one copy of the Tapu Lele though in the deck, but the Bonnie is able to be brought back out with the VS Seeker. So this is sort of something that can, you know, it's sort of a trick up your sleeve sort of thing. With the Lele, throw it on the Lele and you go and get the Bonnie. Or if you have the VS Seeker, you get the Bonnie, you get the immunity from EX and GX. Computer search, that's going to give us our wild card, basically. That can help save us a lot of times if we're bricked, if we don't have the card that we really need. We have Field Blower here, only 1 copy needed, 4 copies of the Max Elixir. That's obviously going to help us accelerate the energy. It's going to help the Zygardes get powered up a little bit quicker. 2 copies of Nest Ball. I felt I didn't really need any more because of the Brooklet Hill. We got 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher. Didn't really want to go with Super Rod because we want to keep the energy in the discard for the Zygarde. 1 copy of the Ultra Ball just to find a Lele. You know, all of these are basic. We do have that Brooklet Hill as well. 3 copies of the VS Seeker. I didn't really need any more. I seem to always hit the supporter I need every turn for a draw. 3 copies of the Brooklet Hill. Obviously that helps us with the Bonnie Zygarde combo, but to be able to find our basic Pokemon and get them out, get out the Diancie or the Regirock or the Zygardes depending on what cards we have in our hand. We've got Colress, just a really good mid to late game draw supporter to help us find and dig a whole bunch of cards. And then we've got 3 copies of Cynthia, obviously the staple draw supporter there. Shuffle your hand in your deck, then draw 6 cards. We've got 3 copies of Guzma. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. If you do, you switch your active with one of your benched. 2 copies of Lily. It's a good opener. If we have it in our opening hand, it can help us. Just another draw supporter there. And we've got 3 copies of Choice Band. This is a good amount of Choice Band for this deck, especially with that Baby Buzz and the Silvally. The Silvally helps hit higher numbers on the knockouts. 3 Float Stones. Even though we have the Silvally ability, Regirock has an extremely high retreat cost, so does Zygarde, so it really helps. And we've got just a couple copies here of the Strong Energy. We didn't really need too many because we're already getting an extra 30 damage from the Diancie Regirock combo. And the 4 DCE. Obviously we know what those are for. Power up the Silvally and the Zygarde. And then 9 energy. 9 seems a little bit high, but knowing that we're going to be putting them into the discard, it makes sense. So let's get into our matches here. Alright, we see the deck boxes, see that they're playing a Psychic deck, so I'm interested to see what this could be here. I'm going to go ahead and pick Tails. Well, we lose the coin flip. Opening hand is not too terrible. I mean, we can poke with Buzz to get that started. Not going to bench the the Oranguru right away. He's not really needed at this point. So we see Mewtwo GX by our opponent. We also see a Ralts there on his bench, so he could be playing some sort of Psychic Gardevoir. The Professor Sycamore's there. He did attach the Fighting Fury Belt there. Attach energy onto his Mewtwo GX for active. And he plays Pokemon Communication. He grabs Mewtwo EX with the X-Ball attack. Alright, went ahead and benched that. He's playing Max Elixir here. Alright, he does hit on the Max Elixir. Alright, and he passes to us. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Okay, I don't wanna get donked here, so we're definitely gonna have to put down the Oranguru. We should be safe attaching here. I am going to Ultra Ball. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Ultra Ball away an energy, get that in the discard, as well as getting rid of the N, so I can get a Pokemon here to help us get set up. Basically, we'll VS Seeker the N back after we do an Oranguru Instruct for 1. Let's see what we get off of this Instruct. Another Ultra Ball. Okay, that doesn't help us, so we're definitely going to VS Seeker and grab the N. Okay, this isn't terrible. We can play the Brooklet Hill. We can get another Pokemon down on our bench. We'll attach the Floatstone there onto Oranguru. And I'll grab the Diancie Prism Star, just kind of boost our energy, our damage up here a little bit. And we'll tap for 50 damage on his Mewtwo GX. So it does kind of hurt to open with the baby Buzzwole, even though he can tap for a good amount of damage here. The reason is because you obviously want to have him available for that Sledgehammer turn to kind of swing the prize trade in your favor and make your opponent take play a 7 prize game, a 7 prize card game. So opponent's kind of thinking here, he's not really doing much at this moment. Okay, he goes with Pokemon Fan Club for his supporter for the turn. He grabs Sigilyph GX and another Mewtwo EX, and that Sigilyph GX is going to be pretty nasty to have to try to play around. Okay, he benches the Sigilyph and he benches the Mewtwo. Max Elixir here. He fails the Max Elixir. He's got energy to attach for turn. Okay, he does get the energy to attach for turn on his active. He full bursts. With the Fighting Fury Belt, that is going to be a knockout, so that does hurt us. It does hurt. We're obviously going to bring up this Oranguru who's got the Floatstone so we can kind of play things out, and this was just a very, very clutch top deck. So hitting this this double colorless is really nice. We don't want to grab the Buzzwole GX off of this Brooklet. We're going to grab the Regirock. So now our Cell Connector is going to be doing 70 damage, which is nice. We don't have any weakness. I'm actually going to opt for the play the Colress here because I'll get 7 instead of 6. I hit the Choice Band. Obviously going to put that on. Now I'm doing 100. If we hit on this Max Elixir here, it would be nice. So we did lose some frames here, and it skipped ahead on the video. I apologize about that. You can see that we've hit the Mewtwo GX. He's sitting at about 160 damage there, and they've Guzma'd up our Regirock, and they've been able to hit that. We had a Type Null down on the bench now. We've got a Silvally up and powered up and ready to go basically at this point. I've already used the GX attack, and that was to do the Verdict GX to provide the immunity. So we're really putting a lot of pressure on our opponent, and they're really suffering to play around the deck at this point. Now, this would be their only catch-up mechanism at this point, is to use this Silvally GX. They do play the N, and luckily we, or unfortunately, I should say, we do not have the Oranguru out. But we are set up pretty well at this point, because with the Silvally GX, we have the free retreat, so that's not really a problem at this point right now. The only problem is that him using this GX does knock out our Zygarde GX there. So we're obviously just going to bring up a basic Pokemon here that we're not really going to be attacking with, because we've got Silvally there. And we top deck the card that wins us the game here. We've got the Goosebump. We'll just bring up this damaged Mewtwo GX here, and we'll finish off what we had started earlier in the match. And it doesn't end the match unless we actually do the Turbo Drive ability. So that was that match there. So you can see that the ability to be able to open up with that GX and then possibly get that immunity the next turn if they don't hit the Goosebump really makes the deck really strong. So next match here, I see these playing this Rayquaza deck box here. And it typically is a very fast deck. So it will be interesting to see if I can keep pace with Rayquaza, because they can get a lot of energy on the board very quickly. And we didn't hit a basic here on our opening hand, so we're going to take a mulligan. Okay, so this is a good opening hand here, even though we've had the mulligan once. I mean, we have our 3 viable attackers, and we've got the Oranguru. So I'm actually not sure if we really want to open with the Zygarde, because we don't have any energy in hand at this point. But we'll go ahead and do that, because he does have the highest HP, and I just feel that it would be the better option at this point to get him up rather than getting the Buzzwole up. I guess the best play here, I guess, would be to, you know, depending upon what we top deck, would be to hit the Max Elixir and Guzma into something. That's basically the only play that we can do, but he hasn't benched anything else at this point. And we do miss on the Max Elixir, so that hurts. That does hurt. You know, we're going to play the Scorched Earth to instruct for 2, and hopefully we can get something to help us out. But no, we hit with the Tapu Lele GX and another Choice Band, so that really is hurting us, especially against a deck like Rayquaza GX that can set up just so fast. Unfortunately for our opponent, though, they started the Marshadow with that Let Loose ability as their active, so they are kind of in a tight spot as well. See the mysterious treasure away a Ho-Oh EX for a Shaman there, and with their ability they're able to put those energy in the discard and move them on, and the Shaman setup ability to get 4 cards out of their hand, or out of their deck, I apologize. They play the Trainer's Mail. Looks like that Trainer's Mail did not hit anything there. So you see they've already got 3 energy set up on this Rayquaza GX. They'll be able to do 90 damage if they can get this Marshadow out of their active position there. And they hit Ninja Boy for the supporter, so this is interesting to see what they'll do here. And they bring up a Zero or a GX. That's a clever play, so they'll be able to potentially get that Rayquaza up and doing some good amounts of damage on this next turn. So luckily we are saved there a little bit by them not being able to get that Marshadow out of the active. Now this does hurt having to bench this Tapu Lele just because its HP is so low, but we really need to play something here to help our odds out to hit some sort of cards here, because these first 2 hands that we've really seen have not been very helpful for us. And this is much better. So we've got a little bit of wiggle room here to really get set up and start moving. I'm debating whether we want to go with the type null and attaching the DCE there. But the Zygarde GX does have a weakness to fighting, and even though this isn't going to be a knockout if we swing, it is going to set us up later to be able to finish it off. And I do like this play because 160 is a lot of damage on it, and only needing to do 30 damage really makes it really easy to swing with, you know, maybe a type null, maybe Tapu Lele. Using a jet punch to finish it off while it's on the bench is another play as well. So it's definitely a little amount of damage that can really swing the matchup and make us potentially pull 4 cards off of a play later in the game. They drop down the Skyfield because they're really trying to pull out as many Pokemon and get as much energy on them as they can, so this Rayquaza can start doing as much damage as possible. They are going to be able to retreat the Zeraora. They pull the Mysterious Treasure off with the Trainer's Mail. And you see they retreat for free, and they bring up the Ray. Now, it's not enough for a knockout, but it is a good amount of damage to where we don't really want to start powering up the Zygarde anymore. We whiff on the Max Elixir. I was thinking about getting the Jet Punch up so we could put some damage on the Ray and get the knockout on the Zeraora, get a couple prize cards. I feel like we've got some really good stuff prized here. I'm a little hesitant to bench this just because I know that I play the Brooklet Hill. I'll bump their stadium. And we've just really got to get set up. We gotta see some more cards here. So we've got to play with Cynthia here. I used that VS Seeker, one of my 3 copies. I've got another VS Seeker in my hand, and we did hit the Brooklet, and we did hit Diancie Prism Star, so that is going to be very helpful for us here. Let's go ahead and bump their stadium. And I'm kind of hesitant on benching this, but we'll go ahead and do that. I think at this point it's just fair to just go ahead and tap again, and even though that's just a tap, that tap does 100 damage, so that's quite effective for just a single energy attachment, really. So while you may not be able to get full knockouts, you know, in one shot, we do have things set up for later in the game. Looks like our opponent struggled to hit on some of these cards on that turn there to really help them out. So they do get the knockout on the Zygarde. Now at this point, let's see, our Jet Punch is going to be doing 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So we would get the four prizes here. We're going to put this DCE down on the type null. That way we can get that ready to have another attacker. We don't really need to add any more energy onto this Buzzwole. He's done his job. He's bringing home the bacon. He's taking down these 2 damaged Pokemon. That's wiping off a lot of energy that they have. So they really need to move fast to get another Rayquaza set up at this point. And with Shaman having such a low amount of HP, we can one-shot that with the Silvally GX if we find a Guzma in the upcoming turns. And so we've got the Guzma in hand, we've got the Silvally GX in hand, so honestly at this point, without having our hand get end or them pulling another Marshall let loose, we've really pretty much got this game in the bag at this point. So let's take a look here and see what they're able to rebound with on their turn. They use Ho-Oh-EX's Rebirth ability, and they do get the heads, so he's going to be coming back out of the discard with some energy on him. And they play a Max Elixir, so they've got They got that Ho-Oh EX powered up. I still don't think that's going to really help them, honestly. They've really got to get rid of these cards in my hand. And they pull a Zero Aura GX back out of the discard with that Rescue Stretcher. They VS Seeker. And they grab Ninja Boy again. So that's going to be game for them. Without pulling something else to try and lose these cards that I have for game, we're gonna go ahead and Guzma. Oh, there's the let loose. I spoke too soon. I thought it was all over, but I was wrong. Now we do still have the GX attack, so really we can just bring Silvally up and do the Rebel GX for game as well. So we had too much firepower, too many tools, too much in our arsenal, and they just didn't really have a way to take care of all the different threats that we have. And they don't get the knockout there. I think they're a little bit happy, but I think they're failing to realize that the free retreat ability is in play with the gyro unit from Silvally. So we'll retreat and bring up the Silvally. We'll Rebel GX. Should be 280. And that's the game there. And we'll move on to the next match here. Alright, next match here. I see the opponent is playing some sort of toolbox deck. I saw Psychic, I saw Fighting, and we win the coin flip, so we will be going first. This could be like Hitmonchan or something along those lines, and that would be kind of hard. Single prize attacking decks are a little bit tricky for this deck because the Verdict GX doesn't really do anything for the single prize because it only shuts off the EX and GX. So we have a mulligan here. We have no basic Pokemon in our hand. I do see the Hoopa sleeve, so I'm wondering, I think we saw Dark. I'm wondering if maybe they've got some sort of Hoopa stall deck or something along those lines. But we will open with the Zygarde because attaching to the Type Null just doesn't feel right with doing the armor press when we could potentially Lily get some fighting energy and an Ultra Ball, or see how we can get this set up at this point. Basically, we do get one fighting energy off of our draw. We'll attach the DCE onto the Zygarde, we'll attach the Choice Band to Thinner Hand, and we'll play the Lily. Wow, we are hitting a lot of DCE here in this beginning. That's really interesting. I mean, it's nice because we'll be able to power up our Type Null, but it kind of makes me hesitant to want to Cynthiate it away because you usually don't get that many DCE in just one hand. And we see a Mewtwo from XY set, as well as a Donphan evolution. So this could be the Donphan deck with that Hoopa, because I do remember the Dark being in there. So they just bring up the Mewtwo and they pass return. So they miss the energy attachment. So that definitely helps us out at this point. I'm going to grab the Diancie Prism Star off of this Brooklet Hill. This isn't the greatest situation to sort of be in. It's sort of a tough Guzma play that they did there to us. I'm thinking at this point right here, if we get our Zygarde powered all the way up, we'll be one-shotting the Baby Buzz and we'll be one-shotting the Donphan because they've got 130 HP, as well as this Mewtwo. So I think it's a little bit safer to just hang back at this point. So you see 130 HP, they got the flail, 10 damage for each damage counter, and then rapid spin switches that Pokemon with one of their benched, and if they switch, I have to switch as well. This field blower hurts. It does get rid of our Brooklet Hill as well as our choice band, so that's gonna hurt for us, thinning the deck and filling up our bench with that Brooklet Hill. Opponent goes ahead and plays Cynthia, refreshing their hand, and there it is. There's that Hoopa from Shining Legends with the barrier almost like ability for GX and EX Pokemon. They played the E-Hammer, and I don't know if I really like them E-Hammering off the strong energy. I'm still going to hit 130 even if I get regular energy onto the Zygarde. I think maybe that might have been a misclick. I think it would have been better to get rid of the DCE. I don't know if that's just a misplay from our opponent. So we still got the type null stranded up there, but we don't have a Guzma, but we can drop this Lele and we can grab a Guzma. We want to start putting some pressure on. We don't want them to keep getting set up at this point. We definitely don't want that. And we're just going to punish whoever they want to attach to at this point. And bring up the Zygarde. And we'll hit him for 70. So it's a 2-shot, but we're forcing them to find the DCE or a Guzma. Well, actually, Guzma wouldn't really give them anything at that point, so Guzma's not really going to be beneficial. But what they did is they went ahead and they played that Cynthia. They did hit the DCE, so it's going to be interesting to try and play around this. It's going to be quite annoying because they're going to switch into the Hoopa, and that's going to force us to set up a baby attacker or find a non-GX attacker. I get the Nest Ball. The Nest Ball could help me find the Baby Buzz, but we still have this type null stuck up here in the active position. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to armor press. I believe what we do here is we armor press. While we do have weakness if the Donphan hits us, that's fine. I think getting this Hoopa set up to where we can knock it out without being in our Sledgehammer turn with the Baby Buzz may be a little bit of a better play here. So the Baby Buzz would be doing 50 with just a regular energy attachment, and so that would be the knockout on him. So he doesn't really have that availability to switch back into it with the Donphan attack to really stall us like he wants to do. Because he's going to do it again, and he's going to chip away at the Zygarde GX, and he's going to move back into the Hoopa. So it's rather annoying, but we can strategize past this, and we can play around it. So we do hit a Silvally GX here, and Silvally GX is nice, but evolving into Silvally GX right now isn't the play. We need to pull up this Donphan and get all of his energy off the board, basically. I don't even really want to go to the Silvally at this point because the Zygarde GX is damaged. Because if we move to using Silvally GX, he can stall us with just the Hoopa. We've got to find the Baby Buzz. We don't have the Brooklet Hill. I kept the Nest Ball in the deck. I just really didn't want to bring out the Baby Buzz too soon unless it was absolutely necessary. We see our opponent bring up the Diancie Prism Star and attach the Float Stone. And then they bring up the Hoopa. So we do have the VS Seeker. We could actually do another Guzma play here. But what I'm thinking of is that we know if we take another prize, that what's going to happen is we're going to enable them to hit with Sledgehammer. And the Silvally needs to be in play so we can get our free retreat, because we haven't seen our Float Stone. So it seems a little overboard and excessive to pull up this Baby Buzzwole and GX it, but we only hit for 120 with the Turbo Drive. There wasn't any basic energy in the discard to benefit from the Turbo Drive anyways, And I'm pretty sure that they only play one copy of that baby Buzz. So it's off of the board at this point right now. So they're going to get a knockout on the Zygarde, and we're going to be tied up here on the prizes. So it's going to be a little interesting here, but I'm just going to promote a basic Pokemon here so we can sort of maybe possibly play around them. We've got the Float Stone. We don't even need the Float Stone technically, but we do see that we've got a Zygarde here off of the top deck, so that's a really nice top deck that we get. A little hesitant to put him down at this point though, but mulling things over, looking at how many basic energy in the discard pile, and it does really make sense to really put him as the active and get him set up. We'll do the cell connector after we play the Cynthia. He'll have full energy. We've still got that baby Buzz. We can't forget about that baby Buzz. That's going to be important. I'm just kind of debating here if I should play the hand down, but honestly I think we'll be good to sit with a higher hand size here right now. I didn't really want to attach another Float Stone in case they play a Field Blower against us. We see them bench a Goomy, so that's another little stall tactic. And see, I had a feeling that we would be end here. So playing down the hand the previous turn might have helped us, but playing the Stadium would have actually potentially helped them as well. So I was kind of afraid to throw out the Brooklet Hill because they may have that other baby Buzz, but let's see what they're able to accomplish here on this turn. They do get their evolutions out. They attach a strong energy, and this will hurt a little bit, but we're gonna get the knockout here. I think what we need to do is get the Oranguru set up as another potential attacker. Even though he's got the weakness damage, I think having it as a threat in case they want to bring back a Hoopa, because that's really where Oranguru comes in very valuable, is having this dual role of protecting us late in the game if we're getting end, as well as being able to bypass the Safeguard Hoopa as well as the Ninetales. Yeah, and there's the other Hoopa, so that's making me feel a little bit better about that DCE attachment there onto the Oranguru. And they do promote the Hoopa to kind of stall us basically at this point. And it's a valid play because we really don't want to burn all that energy, but we know we can get it back, and he is damaged, and we will get a knockout this turn by doing the Sledgehammer. So it makes more sense to go ahead and hit with the Sledgehammer and get rid of that Hoopa. So his option is to bring up the Donphan, hope that he hits the DCE. It's fine, we can move into whatever and we can retreat for free. If he brings up the Hoopa again, we'll knock it out. Now if he brings up the Goomy, fine, we can attach the other energy in our hand. That doesn't necessarily really slow us down or delay us all that much. So I think at this point, he's really running out of options here to outplay us. He brings up the Goomy. Okay. I mean, we might as well get this Oranguru fully powered on at this point anyways. We could actually go ahead with the Zygarde and just do the cell connector to knock it out. I'd rather bring up the damaged Pokemon than bring up something if I'm gonna have to switch anyways. I know he was only hitting 170, he'd only be hitting 190 at this point. And we get end down to one card here by our opponent. And it's a rescue stretcher. It's not a very valuable card when our bench is full at this point. They play the Field Blower. We lose our Float Stone. That doesn't really hurt us in this situation because of the Silvally GX on the bench. And we see a concession from our opponent there. So they really didn't have anything at this point. They really knew we were going to be able to take all the prizes that we really needed to. We had VS Seekers left in the deck. So that's a little bit of how the deck really runs here. And if you guys like what you see, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment here, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. Thanks so much for watching.